Hi everyone, Pastor Keith here for another segment of Lite Bites where we're taking a psalm a week to look at the various emotions that we're experiencing in this pandemic. One of those emotions is pain, just a significant amount of pain, and that's primarily emotional on the inside. And we're going to look at Psalm 6 today. It's a psalm that talks about David and tremendous pain that he was experiencing and how he encountered that pain before God. David was in significant pain. Verse 6 gives very vivid detail to it. I'm weary with my moaning. Every night I flood my bed with tears. I drench my couch with my weeping. Many of you don't have to try hard to relate to that. Some of you may be crying yourself to sleep, shedding lots of tears in the midst of this pandemic for a variety of reasons. Why was David in so much pain? Well, certainly there was some sort of physical illness David was dealing with. We see that in verse 2. Heal me, O Lord, for my bones are troubled. And then that's confirmed by what we read in verse 4 and 5. O Lord, deliver my life. Save me, for in death there is no remembrance of you. So David is staring into the jaws of death because of this physical illness he has. But the physical illness and the pain of that is just the tip of the iceberg for him. Below the surface, we find the real deep pain he's experiencing. Verse 2, for I am languishing. That word means to faint. David is fainting on the inside. He's in so much emotional pain. And then verse 3, my soul is also greatly troubled. So David also is experiencing spiritual pain, disorientation, confusion. You say, why? Why? Well, verses 7 and 8 give a clue. Verse 7, my eye wastes away because of grief. It grows weak because of all my foes. Verse 8, depart from me, all you workers of evil. David has people around him that are speaking into his life in a way that is bringing on more pain. Panic on the inside, spiritual disorientation. And what we think is happening here is very similar to what happened with Job. In the book of Job, we read that Job has a tremendous amount of physical suffering that comes into his life. And his friends come to him and say, Job, the reason you're suffering physically is because there's sin in your life. You must be doing something wrong, and God is punishing you. And that's what we see happening here with David, that his friends are coming to him, the people around him, his enemies are saying, David, all this physical illness you have, you're doing something wrong. My dear friend, years ago, his wife was in the hospital suffering with cancer, and two chaplains, they were well-meaning, but they came up to her room and they basically told her that if she had enough faith, she would be healed. Which is another way of saying, you must not have enough faith, that's why you're sick. And you can imagine the pain, the panic, the anxiety that this put into this woman's heart as she was facing death. Have I done something wrong? Do I not have enough faith? Am I not committed enough to God? Am I going to be in heaven when I die? It absolutely threw her into a panic, and that's what we see here seems to be happening with David. Now notice what David does. He prays for deliverance. He prays for God to save him, but notice the basis of his request in verse 4. Save me for the sake of your steadfast love, David says. Not save me because I've figured out the sin that's causing this and I've repented of it. Or save me because, God, now I'm really committed to you. No, save me because of your steadfast love. That never-ending, never-failing love for us in Christ. David's request is based on not his commitment to God, but God's commitment to him. And so is our request before God for healing, for deliverance in the midst of our pain. It's not based on our commitment to him and how good we are committed to him, or another way to think of it, our grip on God. That's not the basis of our requests. The basis of our request before God is his grip on us. And it's a death grip. It's the death of his son, Jesus Christ, that secures his grip on us, and he will not let go. Now notice how God responds to David's request. Verse 8, for the Lord has heard the sound of my weeping. The Lord has heard my plea. The Lord accepts my prayer. God heard the sound of David's weeping. Psalm 56:8 says that God collects your tears in his bottle. Remember, years ago, my daughter was a toddler. We were at my brother's house for vacation, and I was playing octoball in the backyard with the guys. My daughter was on the porch, and we're playing octoball, and I hear her scream, and it was a horrifying scream followed by crying and tears. Now, how did I respond? Well, I was in the middle of an octoball game, so I finished my game, and then I went in to see what was going on. No. Well, I stepped over the octoball wall, and I slowly strolled to the porch to see what might be causing my daughter so much pain. No. Well, I stepped over the wall, and I thought, let me go slowly because her tears will really teach her a lot, and she really needs to learn how to toughen up. No. I stepped over the wall, and I sprinted into that back porch, and I found my daughter trembling, shaking, and crying because my brother's dog, it was a good-sized dog, was jumping all over her. I picked her up. I held her shaking body close. I wiped away her tear. I comforted her. God hears the sound of your weeping. In the midst of your tremendous pain, he hears the sound of your weeping. He collects your tears in his bottle. And in his grace and his steadfast love, his commitment to you because of Jesus Christ, he moves in to comfort you.